Dusseldorf in Germany and speak to Lisa Schipper, who is the co-editor-in-chief of the journal Climate and Development at Oxford University's Environmental Change Institute. Lisa, welcome to the programme. Have you seen any evidence that the past couple of months in Europe have further focused and concentrated the minds of governments in terms of their making greater commitments to the fight against the climate crisis?
I'm not sure I would say that we have that evidence yet, unfortunately. I mean, I think the declaration of a drought certainly suggests that the government in the UK is taking this very seriously, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're connecting it to climate change or that they're willing to sort of recognize that all the other actions that they're taking that are increasing fossil fuel use are actually also need to be addressed. So I'm not very optimistic that they've actually got the message.
OK, so you're mentioning the UK. How disappointing is it to you that the British government is actually making further investments into oil exploration in the North Sea, for example, in granting rights to do that while all of this is happening?
Exactly. That's what I was implying. I think this is the challenge is we're seeing this contradiction, right? We have the serious implications on the ground. In the UK, we have serious implications in Germany. Yesterday morning on the Rhine River, I see how dry it is, but at the same time, there was a big barge transporting coal. And obviously, coal is being increased. There's increased use of coal right now just because of the war in Ukraine and Germany's strategy there for needing to have some more energy independence. And so I think, these contradictions are obviously not addressing the problem. The problem is that climate change is really threatening us. And if we don't address greenhouse gas emissions, primarily through fossil fuel use, we're going to see this more and more frequently. But obviously, it's not just sort of a matter of a few weeks, right? It's actually something that will have implications for many months, especially for farmers. That implications could be for years, actually.
Do you think that the current crisis is progressing further than the modelling suggested it would? I saw one piece of evidence which, for a layman like me, was extremely shocking. Recently, scientists discovered that trees are growing in the Arctic tundra. They said they were shocked because their modelling suggested that that wouldn't happen for at least another 100 years. And there are other examples.
I think, yes. I mean, I think that seems to be what's coming out, is that we're experiencing these extreme events in a way that we hadn't necessarily expected. I mean, the recent evidence shows that climate change is definitely driving extreme events, certainly driving heat waves. And so what we've seen this summer in Europe, this is coming from climate change. But what's, I think, important to keep in mind is that it's not just climate change, it's also the way that society is reacting to it or not, and the kind of conditions that we've set up in society to be able to cope with these kinds of extremes. And if we're not well prepared, then we'll have even bigger implications and bigger impacts. The problem is that we're not going to be able to actually adapt to all of the extreme impacts. So that's why we really need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions before it gets too bad. So I think what we talk about is a sort of compound events where we have multiple things happening at the same time. We have the heat wave. We've had now these extreme dry conditions. That really sets up for fires, which you showed earlier. I mean, these are things happening all across Europe. But I mean, it is that combination of all these different factors that I think is really kind of shocking everybody in terms of where do you put the policy emphasis, where do you take action first?
Lisa, there's always so much more to say about this issue. We're going to leave it there for the moment. Really appreciate the analysis. Lisa Schipper in Dusseldorf.